We all know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. As an amateur photographer, I know this is true, for I have captured many moments in the lives of loved ones and strangers that tell beautifully intricate stories. Some tell the story of a moment shared with a dear friend, while others leave the viewer wondering what is happening beyond the photo. And it's these pictures, ones where we can't see the whole story, that stand out in my mind and make me wonder what we could see if we took the time to slow down and really look. Wandering through the shops of Boston, I came across a sweet-looking old man wearing an eccentric and colorful hat. Curious, I walked up to him and saw a sign indicating that he was a street vendor. So, of course, I had to buy one of his wonderful hats. He was extremely friendly, making cheerful conversation as he effortlessly tied balloons on top of my friend's head. And to this day, I have cherished his photo and the expression of genuine happiness that I was able to capture that. Over time, I've taken countless other photos of these types of moments, admiring the beauty that I have the privilege of experiencing through my lens, and pondering the stories behind each of these people, whom I knew for only a brief second of my life. What are their stories? What is it that I cannot see? Were they struggling with something at the very moment I photographed them? Was that man brightening children's days with balloons, fighting a battle against homelessness? Could this man, the one turning everyday sights into ones of beauty, be struggling with Alzheimer's? Or maybe this young man could be losing the support of his family by pursuing a career in music. Are these young beachgoers finding a refuge from their abusive family? The truth is, I don't know, and I won't know. And the same goes for every single person that you come across on a daily basis. You can see them passing you on the street, but you can't see their situation. You can't see their struggle. So what can we do about this? Well, for starters, just be kind. Take a second to extend an act of kindness to those around you. Because for all you know, that 1 second in your life could be the second that you turn somebody else's life around. As someone who has struggled with the horrible effects of depression, this sentiment is of great importance to me. There was a point in my life where I felt as though I had no purpose. Life felt dull, bleak, and hopeless. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't function. And this state of utter defeat felt truly inescapable most times. But then there were those moments. There were those seconds when a stranger took the time to connect with me. Whether it was a wonderful waitress in New Orleans calling me dear and putting a flower in my pineapple juice, or a classmate striking up conversation with me after figuring out that I also like 80s music, I forgot the internal struggles that I was dealing with. I smiled and I laughed, and I basked in the unfamiliar emotion. It was these small acts of kindness, the ones that took a mere few seconds, that momentarily lifted me out of my depression. They gave me the courage to steel myself for the world and keep on living. And I'm not alone in my struggles, I know. According to a 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, suicide is alarmingly the leading cause of death in youth aged 14 to 18 in the US. 18.8% of students have seriously considered suicide. That's almost 1 in 5. I mean, look around the room, 1 in 5. And of that 18.8%, a staggering 8.9% have actually made an attempt. Still almost 1 in 10. That's a terrifying amount. And the attempts were most common in females, homosexuals, and minorities, all of whom are more likely to be discriminated against in some way, which indicates that a major factor in suicide rate is social cultures. The stigma surrounding mental health is a huge barrier standing in the way of those who may want to get help. And for young people especially, society's view of these issues can be extremely damaging. Some teachers avoid or dislike students who are struggling with depression, assuming that they just don't want to do their work, when in reality, they're simply incapable of doing it. And peers can also be quick to alienate these people from friend groups by deeming them weak or strange, which leads to even more isolation. And then add media to the equation, and we have a minefield of social understanding, or lack thereof, to navigate. Films and shows tend to leave out the real-life cases of mental illness, and instead glorify it as something beautiful and romantic. And then social media promotes intolerance, develops a lack of compassion, and just overall leads to social competition. And so if we know all of these things, how haven't we done something to fix it? Well, our society carries a highly contagious disease, better known as apathy. This manifests into a selfish obsession with ourselves, causing us to disregard the needs of our neighbors. It manifests into the belief that others' troubles don't affect us and therefore shouldn't concern us either. Should we feel ashamed if we indulge in this obsession? What is it that we're choosing not to see and why? And how can we fight off this apathy? I may not have all of the answers, but I do have some ideas. For starters, we must see the issue. Then, we must examine our contribution to the issue. And finally, once you've become aware, it's as simple as be kind. Treat others as you want to be treated, but don't just leave this room, compliment the first person you see, and call it a day. Be constantly reminding yourself and others to be kind. Stop being indifferent to the struggles of others and instead actively pursue kindness. Take up photography so that you can be consciously seeking out these opportunities to be kind. Or if that's not your thing, just start people watching and see people go throughout their day. I promise that you will gain a new perspective and begin to see the people around you as not obstacles, but as humans. And by humanizing them, you'll begin to have empathy for them as well. So remember that no matter how much of a stranger they may be to you, every human being deserves kindness. And it all comes down to this: just be kind. Thank you.